My name is Erin Yang, and I am Vice President and Chief Technologist of Workday Ventures. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 2022 Women Transforming Technology Conference's Career Exploration Day. Workday Ventures is very pleased to be a platinum sponsor of the conference and the sponsor of this first day of the conference. I've personally gotten to attend this conference many times, even in person several times. It's the only conference where I feel like I've been able to get value no matter where I was in my career journey. Whether I was trying to find my legs as a new leader in product management, or I was learning new tips as a more established executive, or sharing back my learnings after some career moves, like my recent move into Workday Ventures. Many of my biggest learnings came from peers I met at the conference, so I highly encourage you to take advantage of the WHOVEV platform to meet others. At this time, when we're continuing to face challenges as women in technology and leadership, and for some of us as caregivers, I find this conference so needed. I've personally found this pandemic to be a bit of a struggle with 3 kids, 5 and under, 2 full-time working parents, and trying to find a balance that never fully comes. I stay encouraged by connecting with and hearing from our community of women in technology and our supporters, and look forward to recharging over the next 2 days. I couldn't be more excited that my team, Workday Ventures, chose to sponsor this event for a second time. Workday Ventures is the strategic venture group at Workday, which is the finance, HR, and planning system for a changing world. We are big supporters of this event and of women in technology, with a majority of our team being women and 35% of our portfolio companies founded by women. You'll even get to hear from a few of them on a panel this afternoon. We're also actively investing in companies that bring diversity, equity, and inclusion to the workplace. This is the 7th year of the Women Transforming Technology Conference. Originally created as a 500 attendee in-person conference for women in technology in Silicon Valley, we have grown to be a global conference with attendees from over 60 countries worldwide. Women Transforming Technology is committed to building a community and tackling issues that are top of mind for women in technology. Our goals are to inspire, support, and connect women in all areas and levels of technology around the world. The challenges of the past 2 years have impacted everyone in our community. The theme of the 2022 Women Transforming Technology Conference is Elevate Joy. Striving for joy is not about ignoring the difficulties of life, but instead reflects our determination to move from surviving to thriving. We have asked all our speakers to share their stories, experiences, and hacks for elevating joy in technology, their careers, and personal lives. Let us find the excitement again for our work and our careers together. We encourage everyone to come together during and after this conference to elevate all of us. As I mentioned earlier, we want to encourage all of you to connect in our WHOVEV app to our community and find others who share your goals and share your own knowledge. We have a wide array of conversations taking place, and we encourage you to add your voice to the community. And please also use our app to connect with other attendees who share your interests and passions. On behalf of Women Transforming Technology, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all of the sponsors: our founding sponsor, VMware, the platinum sponsor, Workday Ventures, silver sponsors, Rubrik, Seagate, Toyota Research Institute, and bronze sponsors, EquityZen, SupportLogic, and Shipwire. This conference is made possible by our incredible volunteers who staff all of our committees. Our program committees volunteer their time to review all of our submissions and help create a compelling conference program. Our production committee members are supporting all of our sessions. We want to thank everyone for all of your support and hard work. It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Barbry McGann, who I had the pleasure of working with years ago when we were both in product at Workday, and now once again as investors at Workday Ventures. I remember first meeting Barbry and being blown away by her energy, enthusiasm, and many great ideas. She has over 25 years of experience in technology roles, first in consulting for Accenture and Deloitte, followed by product leadership roles at PeopleSoft and Oracle. At Workday, she has led our Workday products organization across our application portfolio and was general manager of Workday Human Capital Management. She's also brought her experience to establish Workday's Office of the CHRO Solution Marketing Organization, and last year joined Workday Ventures as a Senior VP and Managing Director. I'm so excited for you all to meet her and hear her speak on her experience with mentorship. Take it away, Barbry.
Thank you so much, Erin, for the very warm welcome. I really appreciate it. I'm delighted to be with all of you today. In just a moment, I'm going to be sharing some slides with you. And today I want to talk to you about something really important, a critical factor that has served me well in my career, and that is mentorships. I'm going to share with you how mentorships played a vital role in every step and stage of my career journey. And throughout my career, I've had the good fortune of meeting amazing people who have mentored me along the way. And each played a significant role in not only where I am today, but who I am today. And we'll talk about the incredible lasting benefits of being a mentor, a mentee, as well as the rewards and riches of being a mentor. Now, mentorships take effort, empathy, and most important, engagement, I've learned throughout my career, but pay huge dividends in returns. Now, today, I will share with you some of the most lasting and impactful experiences I've had in my career. And most importantly, what I hope for you to get out of this session today is how to make mentorships work for you. Now, I'm going to start back in 1989 when I just graduated from college from UCLA as an economics and business major and started my first job at a technology consulting firm. Now, at this time, they were really recruiting for engineering majors, and I was an economic business major, so there was not a lot of us in these roles. See, the firm was trying to figure out if they could take business majors and turn them into technology consultants. Now, you can imagine this proved very challenging for me at first because I didn't have any computer science training or programming experience. Now, I was put to the test right from the beginning because all of the new hires had to attend a mandatory 3-week computer programming boot camp. So it was sink or swim time for me. Now, we were divided at this boot camp into teams, groups of 4s, where we sat at a table to do our computer programming. Now, we were coding in COBOL. Yes, I did say COBOL, which stands for Common Business Oriented Language, very popular a long time ago in the mainframe era. I, of course, was the only economics business major person at the table, and I had no experience in coding. Now, luckily for me, I was at a table that had amazing engineers and people with COBOL experience. And so right away, one of my table mates, Ed, in particular, took to informally mentoring me and teaching me the logic of programming, sharing his skills and his knowledge with me. It happened very naturally. We didn't discuss being a mentee or mentor, and he would spend hours with me every night to teach me. Now, I call this example of mentoring situational mentoring, and I will never forget Ed for selflessly guiding, advising, and teaching me how to code. And at the boot camp, we were only given 3 chances where we had to code our program, compile our program, and then execute the program without failure. And it was down to the wire. I was on the final and last attempt, but I made it. And I would not have made it without my table mates and especially Ed. So this was really my first experience and example of how mentorships can help assist in a person's career. And interestingly enough, I'm still friends with Ed today, and I had the opportunity later in my career to work with Ed at Workday again. Now, after surviving this first critical milestone in my career, I had a formal mentor assigned to me, and she was matched to me and was designed to support me and sponsor me throughout my early stages of my career. Now, I was matched to a female associate partner at the firm, which was a big deal. And the objective was that she would guide me and help me navigate my first engagements and jobs. Now, I was thrilled and delighted to have someone at the associate partner level at the firm who was female, and she was an engineer and one of the very few female associates partners at the firm during that time. And she was had a successful career and path, and she was going to be a partner in just a few years. So I was excited for my first meeting with Lisa. I reached everything I could about her career, and of course, I wanted to understand the mentorship process. So I planned, I prepared, and I studied how do you create successful mentorship relationships. And I will never forget that first meeting. We met at a very popular, trendy, and expensive restaurant in downtown Los Angeles called Steps. It's no longer there, unfortunately. I had come prepared with a list of questions, and I was so excited to learn, get career advice, and hear all about her amazing career journey and path. Unfortunately, it did not turn out like I expected. I didn't even get to ask a single question. Within the first 5 minutes of meeting my mentor, she took one look at me without even getting to know me, started to give me advice. She told me that if I wanted to be successful and make it past the first year, I needed to change 3 fundamental things. First, I had to cut my hair. My hair, which is about the same length as it is now, was too long, she said, that I would never be taken seriously with long hair and that it should be short like hers just below the ears. Second, I had to change my voice. My voice was too high, too feminine, too cheery, and that no one would listen to me unless I learned to lower my voice and got a more reserved demeanor. And third and last, I should learn how to cuss and swear just to make sure that I was taken seriously. Now, my reaction to all of this was total, complete, and utter shock. I just sat there in disbelief. I didn't know what to say, let alone think at this point. I do believe, though, and still to this day, that my mentor was actually trying to help me. And she felt that these three things were the critical factors that made her successful in her career. Now, while her intentions were good, her advice was not something I personally felt comfortable with or believed I could or should even change. So after, as you can imagine, a very quiet and somber lunch, I headed back to my client engagement confused, upset, and unsure that this was going to be the right place for me if I had to change these three fundamental things about myself. So deep in thought and struggling to concentrate and finish my coding assignment, my workmate who sat next to me, who also happened to be female with long hair, had a very feminine voice and a cheery demeanor, asked me what was wrong. So I shared with her my conversation I had with my mentor, and she was equally shocked and concerned. And unbeknownst to both of us, the partner on the project, Carol, overheard the advice and guidance I received from my mentor. Hearing about the three fundamental things that my mentor was advising me to do, Carol was visibly upset and told me not to listen to that advice. She said it was all wrong. She told me that I didn't have to change a thing, that a mentor's job is not to change a person, but to help them achieve their full potential. She also then told me that from here on out, that she would be my mentor. Now, this was the first and most important lesson I learned from her was authenticity. And she really encouraged and enabled mentors myself to be myself first and foremost. And then she taught me how to make the most out of the mentorship experience. And that is what I'm going to share with you. She started the mentorship process by providing me with a clear definition of mentorships. She explained that the most important and impactful mentorship she had ever had used a simple method, believe it or not, of goal setting and planning, where the mentor's role, her role, was to facilitate the conversation and then enable me, empower me, the mentee, to choose and set my own goals and then implement plans to achieve my goals. Then she started by getting to know me. She really wanted to understand what was important to me, what led me to taking the job at the firm, what I found rewarding, what I found challenging, what I'd like to do when I wasn't working. See, she wanted to get to know the whole me, not just the person at work. She created a safe space for me to share information confidentially, where I could share aspirations, accomplishments, even dreams, as well as issues, challenges, and importantly, fears. We used the first 3 to 4 meetings, probably, I would say, an hour approximately each, to build our mentorship relationship and to help me discover what was important to me, to reflect on my experiences so far, and then to really set goals and plans for myself. Now, as a new technology consultant, my goals focused and centered on strengthening my technical skills, my computer programming skills, and really taking on more complex assignments and programs to build out my core capabilities. Now, to do this, I put plans in place to get additional technical training that I definitely needed at a local community college. And I would do this after hours at work or on the weekends. Unfortunately, they didn't have the amazing courses that they have online today. She also recommended, and this proved very helpful for me, that I spend time with the more advanced technology consultants on the team and study how they solve these complex problems. Now, this proved to be extremely effective, and I call this peer mentoring for me to learn. I also picked up additional coding languages. I asked and volunteered wherever I could to take on more complex assignments. And my mentorship lasted approximately 1 year, where we would check in at least once a month and use a very simple framework that I'm going to share with you. So in our hour discussions, we took half of the time to really reflect, where we would look at how I was doing in meeting my goals. Where was I in terms of my technical skills and competencies? And then we use the other half to really plan. So we look at where I wanted to be in terms of my goals and where my skills were. And if I wasn't where I needed to be, we would then brainstorm steps and actions and resources I could take or use to get where I needed to be. Now, this mentorship proved extremely impactful for me, because not only did it result in me reaching my full potential and getting promoted to senior consultant in less than 2 years, but more importantly, it created a great framework and foundation for mentorships that I could use and share throughout my career. Now, after my first job, I went to Haas Business School in Berkeley, California. And when I graduated from the Haas Business School, I found myself, believe it or not, working for Carol again. And I was thrilled. So these relationships continue even after the mentorship ends. And this time it was at another firm. Carol had changed firms and actually moved to San Francisco. Now, at this new firm, I had the incredible opportunity to meet and work with even more impressive female leaders. And I was placed on a project back in Los Angeles with a female partner named Bonnie. In addition to Bonnie, I worked for an amazing and experienced senior manager named Robin. Now, it was a large project in Los Angeles, a financials transformation project using PeopleSoft software, which not only gave me a great opportunity to manage a team, but also to learn a new software solution. Now, at this point in my career, this was my first big management opportunity, and I was managing a team of 10 to 12 consultants. Now, Robin, the senior manager, my mentor, my supervisory mentor, was everyone's favorite person to work for. She was a great role model and the type of leader I have always aspired to be. See, she was very engaged in the project, and she made a point to connect and invest in every single person on the project. Now, this was remarkable to me because it was a huge project with over 100 consultants. Nevertheless, Robin took the time to learn everyone's name. She would just go up and introduce herself, and she took the time to get to know them by taking them to lunch or coffee or out for a walk. She really created moments that mattered to all of us. She was incredibly helpful for me as a mentor and a direct supervisor. She showed me how to encourage and enable consultants on my team, how to evolve and grow from an individual contributor into a manager, a mentor, a coach. Now, this is what I call supervisory mentor, which I mentioned before, which is really rare and special, I found in my career, because not every manager makes the time to also be a mentor as well. Robin instinctively knew it was not easy for me to go from an individual contributor into a manager of a large team. I knew how to get things done, but I didn't necessarily know how to help other people get things done. And I had to fight this impulse to do the project work myself because I could do it faster. But Robin pulled me aside and called me out on it right away. She said, it's not how fast you can get the project work done. It's all about helping others to get the project work done. That as a manager, my role, my job was to help others now realize their full potential. She said my role as a manager was to coach and enable my team, and that I would find this far more rewarding than just getting the work done myself. She really opened my eyes to what it was meant to be a good manager, a good mentor. Not only did her advice and encouragement help me, but I also learned a lot just by watching her interact with everyone on the project, how she invested her time, how she engaged with everyone, regardless of title and seniority, how she made herself available, how she would walk into the room with such positive energy that it inspired all of us to be the best we could be. Robin taught me how to invest, how to engage, and really help others build new skills and capabilities. Now, it was on the same financial transformation project that I had my first mentoring experiences, where I was no longer the mentee and I became the mentor. I'm not sure I really realized this at the time, that I was actually mentoring and not just managing. On this project, I had a very diverse team of consultants in terms of skills, personalities, capabilities, experiences, interests, and backgrounds. I quickly learned that in order to be an effective manager and a mentor, that I had to personalize my approach. What worked for one individual did not work for another. On the project, I had two amazing consultants just starting their careers, just like I did, fresh out of college, Joe and Kelly. Now, Joe, probably everyone in the audience knows that Joe was confident, outgoing, always the first to volunteer for anything. Kelly was quiet, reserved, extremely talented, and rarely spoke up or volunteered, but her work was outstanding. They could not have been more opposite in styles and work styles and demeanor. And I learned a lot from both of them. Now let's talk a little bit more about Joe. So Joe was ambitious. He was outgoing, outwardly eager to grow and learn. From day one, he had his sights set on getting promoted to senior consultant and made it known. And he wanted to do this in 1 year. He wanted to fast track his way to management. I learned that Joe was an only child. He was very achievement oriented and put a lot of weight on accomplishments and victories. He did well in college. He even attended college on an athletic scholarship. He graduated a quarter early and with honors, and he was quick to share that information with the project team. Now, he approached me within this first week and asked me to formally mentor him. I found him very easy to mentor because he came prepared with goals in hand, and we worked together to develop plans to meet his goal. He was extremely organized, thoughtful, and proactive, and openly asked for feedback and input. I really enjoyed how he would take all and any feedback, positive or constructively negative, and he would not only reflect on it, but he would act on it. He's what I call a continuous learner, on a quest to become the best person and leader it could be. I also noticed that he informally started to mentor others on the project team. He would stay late. He would help others, just like Ed, finish their programs, designs, and work. He was extremely well-liked, funny, gregarious. He would plan all of our social gatherings. And to help Joe on his goal to become a senior consultant, we started by outlining his skills and capabilities and the experience required to get to that level. Joe had a lot of the skills and capabilities already. He was an excellent technical consultant. He had strong engineering background, great communication and presentation skills. So what we worked on was identifying key experiences that would showcase his leadership and help him develop more leadership skills on the project. Joe took on assignments where he would be the team leader on the project. He would also sign up for additional programs and opportunities, such as welcoming and onboarding the new consultants to the firm. Within just 13 months, Joe did become a senior consultant. Now about Kelly. My experience with Kelly was completely different, but also rewarding. She was hardworking with excellent work ethic, just like Joe, but she really kept to herself. She seemed shy, hesitant to ask or approach anyone about a mentorship, so I ended up approaching her. Following Robin's example, I offered to take Kelly to lunch just to get to know her. She was a middle child in a family of 5 kids. She did well in college, graduated with honors, but she would never talk of her achievements. I also found out that she was the only one in her family not to become a lawyer. She was incredibly funny and had a very dry sense of humor. It took me a couple of months for her to relax and feel comfortable and in a safe place to talk to me about work, her ambitions, her goals, even her challenges and fears. Although she was an excellent consultant and a top performer on the project, she didn't have a lot of self-confidence. She had similar goals and aspirations that Joe had, but she didn't share them, and she didn't have a good appreciation of her own skills and capabilities. So I took this as a personal challenge to help Kelly gain self-assurance and to learn to be more confident in herself and her work. To implement this plan, I started by listening to her first, having her share her designs and her work with me, what she enjoyed doing at work, what she was passionate about. And she really loved solving problems for customers and working closely with customers. So what I did is I made a point of providing positive feedback and reassurance to Kelly. And it was easy because her work was that good. My objective was to make sure she became more aware of how she was doing and performing. So I would also share with her the many praise and compliments that she was receiving on a regular basis from all the customers that she worked with. I would also encourage her to do social activities with the team to get to know others on the project. I encouraged her to go to lunch or grab a coffee with at least one new person a week. I also encouraged her to take time to do stuff for things that she really liked to do. She was an avid runner and she would run on the weekends. I asked her to make time to make sure she also ran during the week. Probably the most important thing I did with Kelly is to make sure that she would write down every week her accomplishments, and then we would review this on a monthly process. And this really helped Kelly realize all of the great things that she was accomplishing in her work. Seeing it in print really helped her be more confident and really understand all of the great work she was delivering. So it was wonderful to see Kelly develop that self-confidence, get promoted to senior consultant, and become an incredible manager a few years later. So being a mentor to both Joe and Kelly gave me an incredible feeling of accomplishment when they both reached their desired goals. In addition to that, I was able to develop wonderful and meaningful relationships with both of them that I still continue to have this day. Both having the relationships and seeing them achieve their goals was far more rewarding and enriching than I ever expected. Robin was right. Now, during my career, I've had the great opportunity to experience many more joys of mentorships, both as a mentor and a mentee. I've had mentors that helped me navigate senior leadership roles and even helped me become more self-confident and assured as they took new roles and positions at PeopleSoft, Oracle, and Workday. But also mentees that continue to inspire me and energize me with their new energy, their passion, their endless quest for learning, how they bring fresh ideas and perspectives to the table. One of my favorite moments that really summarizes for me the ultimate joys of mentorships happened to me approximately 3 years ago. I was working at Workday as I am today, but this time as a product management leader, and had just completed a big keynote speech for one of our conference events. Now, this is something I had to do on a regular basis. In addition to me, though, there were 3 other speakers at the event, and for each one of them, this was their first time speaking in a large conference event with thousands of people. I could tell they were all very nervous and wanted to do well. So knowing this, I encouraged and supported them throughout the process, helping them during the dry rehearsals, anything that they needed. They all did incredibly well and were excited about their accomplishment. To celebrate, I took them out to dinner where we reflected on their experiences. And it was at this dinner, at this moment, that one of the new product leaders, Ali, asked me about my experience, whether I had a mentor along the way that taught me how to speak at events, encouraged me in my career. I told Ali I did, and that I was really fortunate to have an amazing mentor back at my very first job, and that her name was Carol, that I owed her everything. The most amazing thing happened is that Ali turns out to be Carol's daughter. Now, I didn't know at the time because Ali was married and took her husband's name, and when I met her at Workday, it wasn't possible for me to know that she had the same last name as Carol. So I had no idea until I told her about my mentorship. It was an incredible moment for us to share, for her to hear how much an impact her mom made in my life. And coming full circle, Ali is now an incredible leader and mentor for Workday. Now, in closing, one of my key objectives is to help you make mentorships work for you. So to do that, I wanted to include a mentorship guide that I got from Robin, some of the principles that she shared with me. And I've broken that guide down into 3 steps. So the guide is broken down to, first, how do you build that relationship with your mentee? How do you create trust and ensure a safe place for your mentee? The second piece is, how do you continue to manage that relationship and grow that relationship, help your mentee get the most and you out of that mentorship? And third, some tools to help you evaluate the mentorship, making sure that you're checking in and making sure that the mentorship is working for both of you and that your mentee is enjoying the mentorship. So when we look at building the relationship, step 1, the first thing I have here is a best practices for the mentor, what I call an effective mentoring checklist. So this can really show you what are the different roles that you can play for your mentee as an advisor, a protector, a developer, a challenger, a clarifier, and most importantly, I think, a sponsor. And then for the mentee, another best practices for them as well, where you can set expectations with your mentee. What is expected for them on performance, time commitment, and participation. And then the last part of building that relationship, I've included a very simple timeline and membership project plan that you can use to define how you want to set up the mentorship. What do you want to do prior to the meeting to establish expectations? How do you get to know each other and have a healthy and effective discussion? How do you do goal setting and action planning, and then continuously to review and revise that action plan? So moving to step 2, I brought back that framework that Carol introduced me to. And put more depth and breadth around how do you have effective mentorship discussion. Remember, it's all about taking time to reflect and then taking time to plan. And here's some additional questions that you can ask to have those really effective mentorship discussions. I've also included a simple framework that has worked well for me that I've used both as a mentor and as a mentee to really set the objectives that we want to achieve in an action plan for the mentorship. What are my steps as a mentor? What are the mentee steps as a mentee? And then also, who else needs to be involved? What I call support network resources, whether it's the mentee's manager or peer group. And then really important is to define the outcomes of success and how you're going to measure that and set target dates. And last but not least, I put together a very simple framework that you can use to help you evaluate with your mentee or the mentor the mentorship. Are you putting enough time, enough frequency and duration for your meetings? Is your mentee following up on all the action items that you're setting in the action plans? Is your mentee progressing with the goals and objectives and career path? Is your mentee developing new skills and capabilities? And is your mentee getting the right level of support and guidance? Now, it looks like we have a few minutes left for questions and answers, and I'm here to answer it as anything that you would like to ask me. And I really hope that you get to experience or continue to experience all the joys of mentorships that I've had in my career in your career journey. And let's talk a little bit about Q&A.
All right, we've got some good questions that have come in from the audience. A couple of them around finding a mentor. So, where can one find a good mentor? And in one case, if someone is still unemployed or laid off, how does one find a company that's willing to mentor people?
Great questions, Erin. So I'll take the first one first. Finding a mentor can happen multiple different ways. I mean, of course, there's always the formal mentoring where you're assigned one, but you can ask anyone to be a mentor. It can be a peer. It can be a manager of another group. It's anyone that you think that you can learn skills, capabilities, experiences, or just get support from. So it's pretty easy to find a mentor. And I've found that people are very open to mentoring. And even if you are not employed or laid off, it's very easy to ask people that you know through LinkedIn or through your network, or even you can ask me for mentorship. I love to mentor people. I get such enjoyment out of it. So it should be easy just to reach out and ask. I think people really enjoy sponsoring and helping others. At least I found that in my career.
For sure. And then I think that second follow-up was around if someone is unemployed or laid off, how they find a company that's willing to people.
I think you can find people at companies that are open to mentoring. So an example could be even through LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn network that you're in, you can easily ask someone if they would be open to mentoring. I've had that happen to me several times, and I'm very open to that.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then, so Asha asks, how do we identify long and short-term goals? So I guess if you're a mentee and trying to think through your career goals.
I think you have to look at what is it that you want to achieve short term and put shorter durations and timelines on it. So it's usually like, how can I grow skills and capabilities on my network? Those are nice short term goals. Longer term is, where do I want to go in my career path? Where do I want to be 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years from now? So what I like about the framework that I've always used, it allows you per objective to set different completion dates and timelines. But I would work with your mentor to really establish your short-term goals and how you can measure them. And then your long-term goals, how are you going to be able to measure them?
Great. And there's a bunch of questions coming in around how to get access to the guide and if you can download it. So you can find this guide on the page for this talk in the Whova app. So you can all download it there. One question from a mentorship or a mentor's perspective. So how can you encourage mentees or direct reports to be their own career advocates and not rely heavily on the mentor or manager to do the work for them?
That is a great question, and definitely an important one. And that's what is, as a mentee, your job, the expectation is you have to be proactive. You have to engage. You're not going to get the rewards of the mentorship if you don't put in the effort. That's the thing I was said at the very beginning, is it really requires engagement, effort. And if you don't put it in, you're not going to get the benefits of the mentorship. And remember, your mentor is very busy, usually has a full-time job. And so they're taking time out. They're really invested and they want to help you succeed and help you with your goals. But if you don't follow up and do the actions and put the time in, you're not going to get the rewards out of the mentorship. So that's really important to stress that and establish those expectations up front, and that building the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. Let's see. Can a mentor be a sponsor as well?
Yes, now that doesn't always happen. It's not automatic. But yes, one of the key roles, what I found of having a mentor, is when they are a sponsor. That's really important to have your mentee, your mentor also be a sponsor, but they don't necessarily need to be both. You can have someone as a peer mentor or as a reverse mentor that isn't a sponsor, but you get huge benefits out of learning things from them as well. It's just a different type of mentorship, where a sponsor is signing up to really ensure that you're progressing on your career path into your career goals. So it's important that they don't always equate to the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Should you look for a mentor in the same career path, or is it better if they are in a different department?
It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're looking for a mentor to help you on that career path and career journey, then I would say that you would want to have a mentor in that same career path so you can learn from their experiences and how they got there. But I find some of the most rewarding mentors I've had is when they're not on the same career path, and where I was learning either through reverse mentoring or peer mentoring skills I admired that they possessed or had, and I wanted to learn those skills. So it just depends on what you're trying to achieve with your mentorship again. And you can have multiple mentors at once. That's very possible. Just a matter of how much time commitment you're willing to put into it.
Mhm. That's great. Yeah, I loved how many different mentors you had at different stages in your career. So I like that idea. Okay, we still have a few more questions. How can we grow as an introvert, especially when there are too many extroverts in the same team and the manager is always comparing all of them to each other, even though all of their work is of great quality?
That's why I loved Kelly so much. Kelly was exactly that. She was an introvert. And so in that case, I had to approach her. She was not going to ask for a mentor or ask for anything. And I look for those all the time because they won't ask for a mentorship. They're afraid to ask for a mentorship. And I don't know why, because a mentorship is really there to support and help you. So I would say, don't be afraid to ask for a mentorship. And a mentor can really help you through your career and make that difference for you.
Yeah, and I'll add from an introvert's perspective that it did take one of my mentor, who is also a sponsor, to like really encourage me. And sort of like the first time that I discovered I could actually achieve what he encouraged me to do, it just built a confidence that helped me become more proactive as I continue to go on. So hopefully you can find ways where you can have small wins where you sort of step out of the introvert shell, and be able to grow in your career. Because I do think that it's helpful to get the perspective of people who aren't introverts, just to think of like how they would see the situation that you're in, and then be able to decide how you want to tackle it.
And I would say most managers see the talent. Doesn't matter if you're extroverted or introverted. Mm-hmm. It's apparent. So I encourage any manager to reach out to those introverts and make that effort, really approach them.
Yeah. And someone asked, can a mentor be helpful after I've been an individual contributor for my whole career?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because remember, you can learn all different kinds of things through a mentor, right? You can gain new skills and capabilities. They can also help you if you want to change from an individual contributor. So I'm always learning new things about myself as a mentee and as a mentor. So absolutely, you can.
And this is a good one of just sort of the definition of mentorship in general. What differentiates mentoring from helping someone on a regular basis?
I think I put it towards outcomes. I liked how Carol defined mentorships for me. It's really about helping someone achieve their goals and objectives. And you're doing that through spending time to help them reflect, but also plan and then take action to achieve it. Whereas helping someone doesn't necessarily mean that you're setting goals and doing action planning and driving to outcomes. You're just simply helping them.
That makes a lot of sense. Given that a lot of women get stuck in the middle management quagmire because of the lack of sponsorships, do you have any suggestions on how to build this up?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't talk. I had a lot of mentors that were also male across the board. But I think it again is seek a mentor that is in a position that you want to aspire to, and then really have that mentor sponsor you and help you through that process. And then I also would leverage peer mentors. So pick peers in different parts of the organization. So sometimes I did both. I would have a mentor that would be in a higher role, and then I would pick peer mentors to help guide me along the way. And a peer mentor is great because you can really discuss joint things that you're going through together and you can help each other. So it's a very reciprocal type of mentoring relationship. So I use both in that certain circumstance so that we could share our experiences and then work together on action plans.
I completely agree with that. I've had a lot of, feel like I've gotten a lot of value from peer mentorships, and they don't get mentioned as much, I think, as like the more senior mentor, because I think you're navigating the same things at the same time. And then you can do like cross-functional collaborative things that like make both of you guys, look good in your work. So I do think that is, undervalued. Someone asks, how do you engage a reverse mentor?
Yeah, I have a lot of those too. I love fresh ideas and new perspectives. And I've also learned to get reverse mentoring from new people that have such great depth in technology. So wanting to stay fresh with technology, I will set up a reverse mentorship to learn new perspectives, new technologies, new ways of doing work. And that's where I'm totally learning from them. And they get a chance to be a mentor in a different way. And that's been great. I constantly look for new ideas, new perspectives, fresh ideas. That's where I get all my great ideas, Erin, is from reverse mentoring. I find just amazing talent coming in and, watch them and see what they're doing and love to learn from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had the same experience as well. Let's see, last couple of questions. This person had never had a mentor, but has been asked to be a mentor by her director. She finds the relationship to be very valuable. How does she encourage her 25-year-old daughter to look for a mentor to work with them in their career?
Yeah, I think it would be good to start maybe brainstorming with your daughter on where does she want to go, what interests does she have, and then find someone in those interests or in that career. And again, you can go through your networks through LinkedIn or other vehicles to find that. And then just share with her the benefits that you've received, what you've gotten out of the mentorship, how you've gotten the riches and rewards of being a mentor, as well as your experiences from being with your mentee.
Great. Well, I think that's all the time that we have for questions. I know there's also a way to still continue to ask questions in the Whova app, so feel free to do that. And otherwise, we will let you all continue on to the great content that we've got for the rest of the day. So thank you all for joining so far.
Have a great conference, everyone.
Thank you, Barbry, for your great presentation.
Oh, thank you, Erin.